What would you do if a storm forced a stranger into your home, and that stranger turned out to be the CEO of a major company? Would you turn them away, or open your heart? Stay tuned, because what happened next will restore your faith in humanity. Asterisk, 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 pause. For suspense, asterisk, 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 asterisk. If you believe in kindness and miracles, hit that like button now. And subscribe to The Kind World for more stories that touch the soul. It was a night that seemed like any other, quiet and peaceful, until suddenly, the sky darkened. Ominously, thick, ominous clouds gathered swiftly, casting shadows over the small town. Almost instantaneously, a fierce storm erupted, shaking windows and rattling rooftops. Lightning streaked across the sky with blinding brilliance, illuminating the world. In stark white flashes, while thunder roared like a beast in the distance, rain hammered down relentlessly, turning the streets into rivers, making travel impossible and forcing everyone indoors. Asterisk, inside a humble, modest home, Mark was finishing the last of his nightly routines. He was a single dad, working tirelessly to provide for his young daughter, Lily. His days were long and often exhausting, but nights like these were meant for quiet comfort, reading stories, tucking Lily into bed, and whispering gentle goodnights. The warm glow of a small lamp flickered softly in the living room, casting comforting shadows on the walls. Mark gently adjusted Lily's blanket, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Good night, sweetheart," before quietly slipping out of her room. Asterisk, just as he was about to settle into his own evening, a sudden, loud knocking shattered the calm. Mark froze, his heart pounding slightly. Who could be out in this terrible weather? His mind raced through possibilities, perhaps a neighbor needing help, or maybe someone lost or stranded. Hesitant yet curious, he approached the front door, cautiously, peering through the peephole. Asterisk, outside, soaked to the bone and trembling from the cold, was a woman. She was drenched from head to toe, her clothes clinging to her frame, hair plastered to her face and neck. Her eyes held a mixture of exhaustion and vulnerability, and her body shivered uncontrollably. Mark hesitated for just a moment, contemplating whether to open the door or not, but in that instant, he saw beyond her drenched appearance. He saw someone in genuine need of help. Asterisk, without a second thought, Mark gently turned the doorknob and swung the door open. The storm's howling wind and rain immediately hit him, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped aside, offering her space to come inside. "Come in, quickly," he said softly, concern evident in his voice. The woman hesitated for a brief second, then stepped inside, grateful for the warmth and shelter. Asterisk, once inside, Mark quickly grabbed a dry towel and some spare clothes he kept for emergencies. He wrapped her in the towel and handed her a set of warm clothes, guiding her towards the bathroom to change out of her soaked attire. The woman looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude, but also with a hint of embarrassment. She explained that her car had broken down miles away, and she had been stranded in the storm, drenched and exhausted, just trying to find her way to safety. Asterisk, Mark listened patiently, silently marveling at her resilience. Despite her high-powered job and seemingly busy life, she was now just a woman seeking refuge from the storm, vulnerable and in need of kindness. As she changed into the dry clothes, Mark made her a cup of hot tea, and they sat together in the small living room, the storm raging outside. They talked quietly, sharing stories, her about her hectic corporate world, and him about his simple life, raising his daughter alone. In that moment, the storm outside seemed distant compared to the powerful storm of kindness and human connection unfolding inside that humble home. Asterisk, Mark's instinct was clear. In a world that often seemed cold and distant, he chose to open his door without hesitation, offering warmth and compassion to a stranger in need. Little did he know that night would mark the beginning of something much greater. A story that would ripple through lives and remind everyone that sometimes kindness is the most powerful force of all. Asterisk, after helping Sarah settle into the warmth of the small home, Mark gently guided her to sit by the flickering fire. The storm outside continued its fierce assault on the windows, but inside there was a calming sense of safety and quiet connection. Sarah leaned back, her body relaxing slightly now that she was out of the rain and cold. She looked around, taking in the simple surroundings, worn but cozy furniture, a few framed photographs on the wall, and the faint smell of wood smoke lingering in the air. Asterisk, as she rested, her voice softened, and she began to explain her situation. "I was on my way to a very important meeting," she said, her eyes reflecting a mix of frustration and exhaustion. "It's a crucial pitch for my company, and I was running late, but my car broke down unexpectedly, and I've been stranded." Here in this storm, I didn't expect to end up in a stranger's house tonight, but I'm grateful you opened the door. Her words carried a tone of humility, and despite her high-powered position as the CEO of a major tech firm, she seemed genuinely humbled by the kindness Mark had shown. Mark, who worked as a handyman and had lived a modest life, listened intently. He didn't recognize her at first. He wasn't familiar with the face of a CEO or the glitz of corporate life. All he saw was someone in need, someone vulnerable and tired. To him, that was all that mattered. His world was simple: helping others, raising his daughter, making ends meet. He didn't care about titles or status. He only cared about doing what was right. Over the next little while, they shared stories by the fire. Mark talked about raising Lily alone, balancing work and parenting, and the challenges of everyday life. His voice was humble, filled with a quiet resilience. Sarah, in turn, shared glimpses of her busy high-stakes world meetings, deadlines, and the pressure to succeed. She admitted that she rarely had time for moments like these, where things slowed down and human connection took center stage. Despite their vastly different lives, one rooted in simplicity, the other in ambition, a genuine bond began to form. Mark's kindness, humility, and authentic concern touched Sarah deeply. She had met many people in her life, but few had shown such unselfishness, such pure compassion. His willingness to open his home and heart to a stranger, especially in her moment of vulnerability, made her realize how rare and precious true kindness was. As they sat there, sharing stories and sipping tea, the storm outside seemed less intimidating. Inside, a quiet warmth grew between them, a reminder that at the core of human connection, it's not wealth or status that matters, but kindness, humility, and a willingness to help others in their time of need. Little did Sarah know that this unexpected night, marked by a storm and strangers turned friends, would leave a lasting impression on her heart. And for Mark, it was a reminder that, even in the simplest acts of kindness, there is profound meaning and the potential to change lives forever. As dawn broke, and the first light seeped through the small window, Sarah knew it was time to leave. The storm had subsided, leaving behind a quiet stillness in the air. She gently stretched and looked around the cozy room, feeling a mixture of gratitude and reluctance. She had spent the night in a stranger's home, and now, she was about to go back to her high-pressure world. But something about this night had changed her, a reminder of what truly mattered. Before she stood up, Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out a small card. She hesitated for a moment, then gently pressed it into Mark's hand. "If you're ever in the city," she said softly, "look me up." Her voice was sincere, and her eyes held a warmth that resonated deeply with Mark. He looked at the card, puzzled but curious. It wasn't a business card. It was simple, personal, and heartfelt. That night, long after she had left and the storm had become just a memory, Sarah couldn't shake the warmth she felt from Mark's kindness. She kept thinking about his humility, his genuine concern for her, and the way he had opened his home without hesitation. It was a stark contrast to her fast-paced, often detached corporate life. That night, her perspective shifted. She realized that sometimes the most profound connections happen unexpectedly and in the simplest moments. Weeks went by and life returned to its usual rhythm, but then, an announcement from Sarah's company caught everyone's attention. The CEO was launching a new community outreach program aimed at helping those in need, emphasizing kindness, humility, and human connection. The program was designed to give back to neighborhoods, support local families, and inspire others to practice compassion. To the world. Everyone's surprise. One of the featured stories in the launch was about a humble handyman named Mark and a night of unexpected kindness. The story detailed how Mark had opened his home to a stranded stranger, not realizing that this stranger was a powerful CEO who had been touched by his selflessness. The article highlighted how Sarah had been so moved by Mark's humility that she wanted to do more, and this outreach program was the result. The story resonated deeply with the public. It wasn't just about corporate social responsibility, it was about real human compassion bridging worlds. Sarah's gesture of featuring Mark's story was a testament to her belief that kindness could inspire change at every level of society. Mark, who had always believed that small acts could make a big difference, didn't seek recognition, but seeing his story shared on such a platform made him realize how powerful simple kindness could be. That revelation sparked something in Sarah as well, a renewed sense of purpose beyond her corporate goals. She knew that her experience with Mark had inspired her to lead with compassion and humility, values she now championed more passionately than ever. And for Mark, the story became a symbol of hope, proof that even in the simplest acts, there lies the potential to touch lives and ignite change. In Asterisk, a few weeks after the stormy night that had unexpectedly changed everything, Sarah found herself thinking about Mark more often than she cared to admit. She remembered his humility, his genuine kindness, and the way he had opened his home without hesitation. Inspired by that night, she decided to reach out personally. Carefully composing a message, she called Mark and invited him to meet her. In the city, Asterisk, when Mark received the call, he was stunned. He had never imagined that a simple act of kindness would lead to such an opportunity. Heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and hope, he agreed to meet her. They arranged to talk at a quiet cafe, away from the hum of the city. Asterisk, when they finally sat down, Sarah looked at him with sincerity. She explained that her company was launching a new program to support community heroes and everyday people who made a difference. She told him she wanted to offer him a position not just as a handyman or a worker, but in a role where his integrity and kindness could truly shine and inspire others. It was a job that valued character, humility, and compassion, qualities she saw in him that no resume could ever truly capture. Asterisk. Mark was overwhelmed. Tears welled up in his eyes as he listened. He had never envisioned such a future, life of stability, purpose, and the chance to make a bigger difference. He accepted without hesitation, realizing that sometimes a single act of kindness could indeed change lives forever. Asterisk. Back home, Lily's face lit up with excitement as she saw her dad's new opportunities unfold. She had always known her dad was special, but seeing him step into a new chapter filled her with pride. The storm that had raged outside that night had brought more than rain and darkness. It had brought hope, renewal, and a fresh start. It was a reminder that even in life's toughest moments, kindness can spark a new beginning. Asterisk. That night, as Mark looked out at the starry sky from his small home, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. His life had changed, not because of wealth or fame, but because of the simple truth he had always believed in, that kindness is the greatest gift one can give. And in that moment, he understood that sometimes, all it takes is one act of compassion to transform not just a life, but the world around us. Asterisk. As the days turned into weeks, and Mark settled into his new role, he often reflected on that stormy night, and the extraordinary turn his life had taken. What began as a simple act of compassion had blossomed into something far greater than he could have imagined. It was a testament to the fact that at the heart of humanity lies an incredible power, the power of kindness to bridge worlds, dissolve barriers, and inspire profound change. Asterisk. This story was never just about a storm, a CEO, or a humble single father. It was about the universal truth that kindness is a force capable of transforming lives and creating miracles where least expected. Mark's open door had shown Sarah that beneath her busy, high-powered exterior, she was still human, capable of compassion, humility, and genuine connection. For Sarah, it was a reminder that success isn't measured solely by wealth or status, but by the kindness we extend to others. Asterisk. And for Lily, it was a lesson in hope and the simple yet powerful truth that kindness can be contagious. It can ripple outward, touching hearts and inspiring others to act with compassion. The storm that night had brought rain and darkness, but it also brought a new beginning, a reminder that sometimes all it takes to change the world is a small act of opening your heart. Asterisk. Ultimately, this story reveals that true wealth isn't found in material possessions or titles, but in the kindness we offer freely and sincerely. When we open our doors and hearts, we discover that we are all connected members of a shared humanity that thrives on compassion. Because in the end, kindness isn't just a virtue. It's the greatest gift we can give each other. And it's through those acts of kindness that we find the real magic, the miracle of human connection, and the power to change lives forever.